welcome to the first episode of Mind Matters.
Hey guys, welcome!
Hey!
We're actually doing it. Did you guys miss us?
I don't think they missed us because they never saw us.
Well, you see us now,
Well,
so that's
yeah.
what's important. We're just gonna give a couple quick intros of who we are, because y'all don't really know that yet.
I think we're gonna also give a little bit of our stories, because why should we expect others to share their stories if we're not sharing ours?
Exactly. But
Good
in
point.
further episodes, we'll go deeper into our stories. So
Yeah.
let's make it a little brief. Who wants to start?
Go ahead, Grace.
Okay, I can start. My name is Grace. Are we saying age and
Yeah,
things?
how old are you?
Okay.
Where are you from? Let the viewers
I
know.
am from St. Louis. I am 16 years old, and kind of my journey with mental health is that I've always struggled with sharing my emotions and at least figuring them out, and I still am. it's really hard for me to do that because I just feel like I've raised in a unemotional household. No speak about emotions, kind of either happy, unhappy. There's no gray in between that black and white. So I've always struggled with sports. Sports either hit me real low or real high, I find, and I feel like other people also experience that mental health, the mental issues in sports, and because it just really affects you. So
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, Grace. Hi, I'm Liv. I am 16 years old, and I'm going into my junior year. I'm from St. Louis as well. And what inspired me to start the podcast, or even share my story, is because I've struggled with mental health has always been okay to have in my household, but no actions are ever really done about it. And I've struggled through so many things, especially grief. Grief is my biggest one that I've had to face, and I felt very alone while facing it because the people I was facing it with also don't know how to handle it. So I think it's just so important, being somebody who struggled with mental health, and then I also have a diagnosed mental illness myself. It's definitely something that I struggle with on a day-to-day basis, and I think the persona and the stigma around mental health is often misinterpreted. So I felt that it was important to be a part of something like this so I can share my story, hopefully allow people to also relate in a bit, or in a way, I should say, and then kind of breaking that quietness about mental health. The silence, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I just find that so important, because our mental health is kind of what makes us us.
And it is important.
Exactly.
So hey guys, I'm Julia. I'm also 16 and a junior. Well, incoming junior, I guess. But I am not from STL, unfortunately. I am originally from Egypt, and one of the reasons why I started this, well, obviously we started this, but
Of course.
but a really big thing that I wanted to bring to light was mental illness, because especially if you're an immigrant, or you're from outside the US, you'll know that people don't grasp mental health as seriously, or they just don't believe it exists, especially I would say in the Middle East as well. And also, while bringing that to light, I think it's so important to bring awareness to mental health that's shown in ways that's not conventional. Because a lot of people, when they think about mental health, they're thinking about being sad and these emotions, but there's so much other aspects of it that people find disgusting, or over dramatic or exhausting. And I feel like those are things that need to be brought into light, because mental health is not convenient. It's not. And I feel yes, there's a lot of awareness happening towards it right now. There's also a lot that's not being brought to light.
I feel like you touched on a really good point, where mental health is pretty common nowadays, but it's more so looked as a trend. Everybody's so quick to be oh my god, I have anxiety, oh my god, I have depression. But I feel that that's kind of the persona based around mental health, but people don't talk about how damaging it actually is, and how just how hard it can be. When somebody who actually has depression is showing signs of that,
Right.
it's so looked down upon. And so
yeah, like I don't know if you guys have seen, but like I know I've seen like TikToks of like people who are struggling with mental health, like showing their rooms and stuff.
yeah.
And like if you look at the comments, you can see people being disgusted and all this and that. It's just
like rude and disrespectful. Like once
and
you
it's
show
also
it,
like it shows that you guys are only supporting mental health when it's convenient, when it's
Exactly.
conventional.
So I feel like that's a good way to start it off. I love that.
Thank you.
We can talk about a little bit of like what our hopes for this podcast to be. And I think we kind of all touched on it a little bit, but I think that we, like I was saying and like we were all saying, like we really want to kind of change the persona based around mental health. And we want to do that by having just really open conversations. You talked a little bit about, you know, emotions not being able to be shown in your household. But and I think that that's the case for so many people. So it's hard to even, you know how, like what emotions you're feeling and how to speak about it.
voice.
But we want to show that it's okay to speak about it and speak your mind and speak your truth. And
just kind of like just what's more underneath that surface level.
Yeah.
It goes deeper into just what you see on the outside.
Of course, yes.
Absolutely.
Do you have anything else for this little part? Like,
honestly, guys, thanks for joining us for the ride. Like,
Yes.
this is gonna be a little crazy.
it's gonna be crazy, but it's gonna be fun.
It
and
is,
we love
yeah.
it. We just want to create a safe space for all of us, and then even whoever is wanting to come on the podcast. I think we want to
Comfy space.
right?
So, guys, that's another thing we'll touch upon. If you want to share
Foreshadow.
your story or touch on a subject that you feel like we haven't really discussed about yet, definitely feel free to reach out. And you could either we can show you. Well, actually, no, not show you, but like show you recognition, or like you could choose to be anonymous, or even like if you want to send like what's it called, like a form submission, so you don't even have to speak if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, our DMs are always
It
open.
could always be anonymous.
Yes,
Yeah,
of
100%.
course.
Show you.
Show you.
I did not mean to say it that
The
way.
show me state.
So I think, you know, if you haven't gotten the gist of what this is, it's a mental health podcast, of course. But let's talk about what mental health is. I mean, we're
Right.
talking a lot about it, but what is it actually by definition? So mental health it's more than just the absence of problems. It's the overall state of your emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It's about how you think in your everyday life, as well as like how you feel and you behave. So some of the things like I touched on is like emotional. So do you want to describe a little bit of like what emotional well-being is?
So to touch on it a little bit, emotional well-being is obviously like emotional based. I don't know how to describe it, because there's like so much different aspects of it, you know, like when it comes to emotional disorders or illnesses, there's so many different behaviors that come along within psychological issues. So it's something that impacts how you react, how others react to you and whatnot. There's just so much to it. It's very complex, and it's also something that takes a lot of understanding and research to truly understand about.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's
It's just like how you cope. Like
yeah,
we all have, you know, things that affect our mental illness, but it's how you cope. Like what are you doing with that range of stuff? So
right.
it's just psychological well-being. So also we have some of the stuff written down. So like
Right,
we
so
don't want
sorry
to.
if
You
it's,
guys
like-
can fact check us, please. But like
Also,
we're trying to make sure this.
very, very huge reminder: we are not professionals.
Oh,
We
yeah,
are
we also said that at the
learners.
beginning.
No,
we are not.
We are students.
We're students.
If you are
Teenagers.
listen, if you are struggling with mental health, please reach out to someone. Reach out to a professional. Reach out to the hotline, which we will have linked to our
Linked in the
podcast.
description.
Yeah, you can always
Yeah.
reach out to us, and we will try our best to help you
Yeah.
figure out. You know, even if you're like a million miles away from us, like we'll try to help you as much as we can.
Yeah,
So
but
please feel free.
absolutely.
But
If you're
you're
struggling,
not
do
professionals.
reach out. Reach out to your loved ones. Reach out to professionals, because we are not professionals, but we are teenagers with experiences.
Exactly.
All right, well, I'll touch on the psychological. It's just kind of like your mindset. It's like more of how if you have a healthy mindset, unhealthy mindset, growth mindset. Like you always hear a lot of people say stuff about like having a growth mindset that goes into your psychological well-being. And it's just also just more of your thinking patterns and how your thinking patterns lead to how you act in person.
So the last part of mental health that's kind of categorized is your social well-being. So that is really just how you build your relationships, your communication with others, and like how you connect with others. And I think like it's pretty known, but like we all have like our issues. Like some people are so like out there, they're able to talk with anybody. Others are very reserved, quiet, you know. What's the word? Are you like with your MBTI?
MBTI.
Like are you?
And I'm an ENFP.
Yeah. Okay. she's very out there. She's like she talks a lot.
That don't make sense, but it's okay.
It's okay, girl. You make sense.
I think I'm like what, an INTJ?
That's what I am. I'm INTJ.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
We're more antisocial rather than being
introverted.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Extroverted.
Introverted and extroverted. So that's kind of like your social well-being. And then like an example is like how you set boundaries within those relationships that you create. And we'll definitely get more into boundaries in a couple of other episodes, but because it's a big part of it. But yeah, just like you know how you set your boundaries with people. So yeah. The next thing that we're going to talk about today is what is the difference between mental health and mental illness, because there's like a thin line between them that is often like misunderstood and not really, people don't really know much.
We're just using our facts right now. So
yeah, we're using our facts.
Give us a moment.
Give us a moment. I don't know if you guys want to talk about this, but
I could touch a bit on mental health. So mental health is something that everyone has, like regardless if you think that or not. Everyone has mental health, and it's really just a balance that you have within yourself, whether that be emotionally or physically and whatnot. But it's pretty much like regulation of yourself. It's something that you have to take care of, you know. Just it's really all about regulation with it. Like I said it already, but like
regulation.
Yeah, taking care of yourself and pretty much taking care of your emotions. But it's something that everyone has, and it's something that everyone balances.
Now, for the mental illness, it's more of something that you're actually diagnosed with. Like you went to a doctor and the doctor diagnosed you with it.
This can include like, and just to touch on it, like depression, anxiety. There's many different types of like OCD, different bipolar disorders. PTSD is also a big one that affects a lot of people, and those are like mental illnesses are the ones that need therapy or might need therapy. Not
I
all.
think everybody needs therapy.
But, or like is usually treated with medication and whatnot.
Exactly.
But it's really, when it comes to mental illnesses, it's pretty much like a chemical change within the brain or something that you could be born with or develop. But while it is preferred, yes, that you get diagnosed with it, I know that there's a lot of people who don't have those resources to get diagnosed with it. But it is very, very important to do your own research and reach out and you know whatnot, because I feel like a lot of people are self-diagnosing these days, which is not bad. Educating yourself on these things is very important, but it also is very important to reach out to a professional.
I agree. And you can even think of it like this, where mental health is like the whole puzzle, but the mental illness is like one part of that puzzle. And like I think what you said, where people self-diagnose these days, and the importance of actually going and getting diagnosed. Before you do that, just because you're feeling maybe anxious one day, that's a normal feeling. That doesn't mean that you suffer from severe anxiety. Just because maybe you're sad for like a week straight, that doesn't mean you necessarily have depression, but you can be depressed without having depression. And I think that there's, like I said earlier, it's like a thin line between those two, and between that, you know, like what people know or not, and like just educating yourself is like the biggest thing. But like you can have poor mental health without having like a mental illness, and then you can have a mental illness while still maintaining or having good mental health. So it's definitely confusing, and like it's kind of hard, but to understand like the difference. But it's something we see so much happening, and we just wanted to touch base on that.
Completely.
And guys, please stop self-diagnosing yourselves from seeing these TikToks.
Like
it's so popular on TikTok where like people will show like these things or these symptoms, and they're like, there's like so many people in the comments being like, oh, I have
also
this.
Google.
Oh my
You
gosh,
know,
yeah.
like whenever like you feel hurt or like you feel sick about something, like let's say like your stomach hurts.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
like
And then they always say you have cancer. Like, bro,
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
have cancer.
But guys, please stop self-diagnosing yourselves from TikToks.
Yes.
That is such a popular thing. And honestly, if it truly, like, I know people don't have resources, but if it's something that you've truly been suffering with for a long time, then I guess like researching and like being comfortable with that, then that's all right. But like, please stop seeing these sad TikToks and self-diagnosing yourselves. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, they said if you're sad,
feeling, sad every day, can't wake up.
you have depression, and you need to get medicated. Like, no, you don't.
It's like those
It's
AI
okay.
videos. It's like
But-
the AI over
What's that
text.
one song that's like bullying? Knock it off.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just fell.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, so just as long as you're doing the proper educating when it comes to those mental illnesses and getting diagnosed, or if you feel that you have one, please see a professional, because it's so crucial and important. Because, you know, like, what happens if, like, you go your whole life just being diagnosed from Google, thinking, like, oh my gosh, I have, like, bipolar personality disorder, and then really you could have like bipolar depression disorder, and then you're diagnosing yourself with the wrong thing and you're treating yourself the wrong way. So it's not that we're trying to make fun of you because you're diagnosing yourself from TikTok. We're
But it's
trying to
just-
tell you that there's an important reason why you shouldn't.
And it's also dangerous. It's very
Exactly.
dangerous to diagnose yourself with certain disorders that you're not even sure of. It's very, very, very dangerous, y'all, and it's crucial to treat yourself in the right way.
Stay safe out there.
So the next thing we'll talk about is why mental health matters, and especially for youth. This podcast is geared towards everyone. I don't care what age you are. It's a mental health podcast, and we all struggle with it. But for youth, being a part of that youth community, we want to touch base on the importance for that specifically as well. So like we could say like how mental health affects your school, relationships, and decision making.
Well, I can go off of that because it's just kind of like, you know, like all the stress that we carry as a youth, high schooler, because you're like, oh, I have all these expectations for me. I need to go to college. I need to have a job. I need to get A's in every class. That really affects your mental health and just how it could cause you to go burnout. Burnout is such a big one on youth, because then it's just like, then you just fall behind and you just go down this peak, and then you just start going down a slope.
I think you touched on something important, is like not the burnout part, but the expectation part. Within high schoolers specifically, there is a huge expectation of what we need to do, and if that expectation is not met, we're looked down upon. But people with those expectations in society, they don't consider like actual like personal life issues that might happen. Like mine and your personal life, a million times different, but our expectations are the same, and that's just not fitting. You know, we actually just went into a program around equity, and equity is like meeting people where they are, and I think that can go in a lot with like the expectations that we have. We have all these expectations, but things like our personal life or just the cards that we're dealt with aren't taken into consideration when creating those expectations. So sometimes you just got to meet people where they are and meet yourself where you are, instead of looking at somebody else and comparing yourself to that person, because that person has a completely different situation than you do. And so I feel like expectations, especially as youth and in society for us, is so damaging, and it's not something that's really talked about that much.
Yeah, because we just look up to other people. It's just like, even like social media. Social media has caused so much. Don't get me wrong, I do love scrolling on TikTok and looking on Instagram. It's really addicting, but it does cause a lot of like, I need to be her, I need to have this life, I need to do this. Expectations.
Like body images as well.
Yeah.
That'll be a whole other episode, because we can go
we
on
have
for
to
that.
have a whole episode just dedicated to that. 'Cause,
Social
oh my
media.
god,
It's crazy.
social media body image issues, it's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
I think like for me, my decisions in school, and what else was it?
It's school, relationships, and decision making.
So within all of that, I think mental health is very important within those aspects, because y'all know, if you're an immigrant, this is so important that people don't talk about. Like, if you're outside of America, or like you're from the outside of America, mental health is not a thing. It doesn't exist. And so I think growing up in my household without having any of these, or like being seen as kind of like a psychopath. No, but it's true though. It's true. And like growing up in such a strict household and not knowing any of these things or not being aware that I can get treatment for these, it definitely affects your relationships in a negative way. And also it alters your decision making, not even like school, but just like in life in general. And I think that's why mental health is so important, to bring awareness for it, because there's so many places where it's still lacking and it's just not enough.
Yeah, like I think that what you spoke on with like the immigration part, and like that's especially the school that we're at, that's really not, there's nothing about that, like it's not talked about. And when we speak about mental health, we don't speak about that aspect, which is so amazing that we're able to
mental health really isn't brought up much in, at least at our school.
Not at all.
It's just very avoided.
It's very, it's brought up in a conventional way. That's
Exactly,
what it is.
it's joked about.
Yeah.
And like you said, conventional, like if there's a situation that happens with like the whole school, that's when they'll talk about it. But like anything else, not brought up. And then one other part is like the relationships.
Yes.
I don't know, like it's like that is your mental health, especially like from what I've learned and like in my life, like my mental health affects my relationships so much. Like it's not talked about, it's affecting it so much. Like there are days where I'm just like not 100%, and I don't have the energy to speak to my friends. I don't feel like going out anywhere, like, and I will have that like thing for like weeks at a time where I'm just like so down, I have no energy or whatever. And sometimes my friends could take this as like oh, she's like being distant, like she's being rude, she's not checking up on me, she's not asking me how I am. But little do they know I'm struggling too. And like that is, and I think that affects relationships so like widely, like, and there's just not a big understanding of that when it comes to being in friendships, especially at our age, because friendships are very needy, in a good way, but they're needy, and without having that understanding of, hey, I'm just not, or that knowing how to even communicate how you're not doing well, and then trusting people to, you know, like listen about your mental health. Like if I'm not doing well, it took me a while at first to open up about that with my friends, so they thought I was just being mean, and I couldn't really say anything because I'm like, I'm not trying to be mean, but like I also don't want to have to put my feelings out on a platter for them to understand. And I think that that's a big misconception when it comes to mental health and friendships and relationships at this age as well. Or at any age. Let me stop saying that. At any age, really. But more so this age, because again, friendships are kind of needy. So yeah. The next thing is like the stigma around talking about emotions.
I can kind of go off of this one. Technically, I feel like emotions can either make you seem like you're weak. Like, at least that's kind of my experience with it. It's just like, if I am feeling off about something, if I was ever feeling upset and I wanted to bring it up to someone in my family, it was just more seen as like, you need to suck it up. This is just a little thing. You're fine. Like, it just shows that I'm like weak in an aspect. And I think that's why sometimes talking about emotions and talking about those type of things is very closed off, because that person doesn't want to be seen as they're just not as high as they want to be, like they're not as strong as they want to be perceived as. And I feel like that can go off of the stigmatism of mental health.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think with my experience, especially in relationships, and I think most of all, it's affected because of my upbringings. Like, I don't know if that's like, you know, like for me, when I have my relationships, I think one of the big things about it is I have a really, really huge fear of abandonment. It is actually so bad, y'all. Might have to get that checked out, but that's okay. But I think for me, because I was raised in a similar household like that, like emotions were not really prominent, and like feeling upset about a certain thing like wasn't prominent as well, or like you would get told, like you would kind of get punished for it a little bit. But I think for me, like, because I was raised up in that way, I like tend to bottle up my emotions so much. Like to the point where when I'm at my breaking point, I let it all out, where it's too much for people.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why people think, like, not even think. I've had past relationships tell me, like, I'm just too exhausting to be around, or like they feel like they're walking around eggshells around me, or like my friendship spikes up anxiety for them, which is, please never tell anyone who has mental health issues that's actually so detrimental. But it's definitely something that people don't talk about enough. Like, there's so many ways to bring up your emotions that's not conventional. Like, you know, it's not easy to just sit down and tell people how you feel. It's just not easy. It's not easy to just put it into words, and sometimes, like, you do actions that you regret. So I think that's my experience with dealing with all that within relationships and whatnot.
Yeah, you brought up, that was like an amazing point. With like the is that the word, conventionality? I don't think that's a word,
I mean,
but
it could
something
be.
like that. With mental health being only talked about when it's conventional, because again, we talked about it earlier as well with like the self-diagnosing and everything. I think society has this image of what mental health looks like. So if you're sad, you're depressed. If your hands are shaking, you have anxiety. But no, because depression doesn't always look like you laying in bed and just being sad for like a day.
There's so many different types of depression. Like, can we talk about, like,
Exactly.
what's that one type where it's like you do everything, but
High
just,
functioning.
yeah, high functioning depression.
There's also one that I struggle with pretty badly, is bipolar depression disorder. I will definitely speak a little more about it in future episodes, but it's where you have high highs and low lows. And once you have that low, it's kind of like that's when people look at you a little differently, because they don't realize how low can get in a way. And then when you show them that, it's like, oh, like what you were saying with like people showing their rooms and everybody being like, oh, that's disgusting. It's not, because unfortunately that's what their mental health has driven them to be like, and that should be okay, but it's not okay in society's eyes. So with talking about mental health, you brought it up earlier as well, where there's that surface level of, we know what mental health is. It's kind of engraved
Oh, it's okay.
sorry, engraved in us in a way, but we don't actually see what other things besides like depression and anxiety. And like, just because you want to pick up your room all the time doesn't mean you have OCD. Like, just because you like to be organized, that doesn't mean you have OCD. Like, we hear and we see like what certain types of mental health or mental illnesses look like, but we don't actually see what they look like and how low they can actually get. And when we do, there's like that big like, oh, that's disgusting, or oh, that's weird, or oh, you're struggling with that. Oh, like, no, that's not right. If you're gonna you know, call yourself an advocate and say like, oh, like I have mental health issues, and you also need to support other ones even when they get worse than what you've seen. And I think that kind of is wrapping like what the stigma around it is, because again, we talk about it, it's out there. You see flyers for mental health a lot, and you hear a lot of times, oh, go get a therapy appointment or whatever, but you don't actually see. And so, and then when you do, it's like bad. So I think just to wrap that up is like supporting mental health, even like you said, when it's not conventional. And then we can talk a little bit about like mental health in teens. Like, you spoke on like the stress, and we kind of spoke on identity, but like trauma and pressure. We spoke on that a little bit, but do we have anything else to say more for that?
I mean, for teens, I just know, at least from my personal experience, that like if you've gone through something in the past, your trauma, like got brought up, it carries with you no matter how old you get. It can start whenever you're younger, and it just carries on with you. It doesn't just leave. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. When you talk to somebody, you're like, well, that happened ages ago. That also still happens. It's still there.
Yeah.
It's not always just gonna go away just like that. Everybody deals with things differently. Everybody moves on things differently. Some people really hold on to those things. Some people either might let it go or just act like they let it go.
But it's still there.
Exactly.
So that's a good point.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up, I brought it up earlier, but where we were in that equity program, and one thing we spoke about in there, and specifically what I spoke about, was how the truth will bring freedom, and I learned that from that program. And I feel within kids and teenagers, we don't have that space to be true and to really speak what we're going through because of one, you know, maybe the fear of being judged, or maybe you just don't have resources like that at all, because schools can honestly lack in that department with giving teenagers the space and the just the area to not be okay. But it's so important that, especially as teenagers, that we speak our truth and we speak our voice and we say our story, because we will feel so much better when we do that. So yeah.
I agree. I don't know like what much I could say besides like what you guys have already touched upon, but like I think within a lot of teens, I think what's so important is childhood, because I think a lot of people think that the way they were raised is normalized. And like, I'm gonna touch upon something that's a little rough, and some people may not agree, but I think hitting your children at a really young age, I feel like that's something that's really, really normalized for teenagers. Like, oh yeah, I got hit when I did this, like, and that's trauma. And there's trauma responses that come with that, and I feel like a lot of teens try to like pass it off. But definitely, I think a lot of trauma within people nowadays lies within childhood.
Generational trauma is like a
oh
big
yeah,
one.
absolutely,
For sure.
It's huge. So we touched on it, like I said, but breaking the silence,
Yes.
and why conversations like this and not podcasts and specifically, but why support groups and advocacy for mental health are needed nowadays, and then also just like the importance of having safe spaces to talk, and like why is it okay to not be okay, because we say that, but like, do we go into it, you know?
It's also a great
Yeah.
TV show. But
I agree, and especially like now in times where we're currently in obstacles of being silenced, especially I would say LGBTQ youth, and like them being silenced so severely and not being able to reach out for those resources. So I think speaking up now about mental health and mental illnesses is so important, more now than ever, in the process of us being silenced.
I agree.
completely agree with that. It's just we have to break through that wall. There's a wall. Gotta break it.
So metaphorical.
Literally. Yeah, like you guys touched on it, like these conversations are so important to have, because if who else is having them? Like,
They're just not normalized.
they're not really, like, again, conventionality, it's only talked about when it's conventional, and like specifically the space we're trying to create is going into that deeper when it's not conventional, and like how real can it get, you know? And being silenced, a part of that is like, as youth, I feel that we're very silenced. As teenagers, we're extremely silenced, and kind of breaking that now. We don't want to see that anymore, because it's not helping anybody.
It's just hurting.
It's just hurting. And then just putting off that, like, it's okay to not be okay, because it's okay to not be okay.
Yep.
It's not realistic to be okay 1,000,000% of the time. Like, I'm not okay 1,000,000% of the time, and that is okay, because it's just gonna happen. It's a part of life. Is
part of growing.
Exactly, growing. Like, you can't grow if you don't hit a lower version, because then, like, if you're okay 1,000,000% of the time, how are you gonna grow into be a better person, and grow past that being okay, you know? So yeah, I feel like we touched on that pretty well. But having the importance of like a safe space. You spoke about the LGBTQ plus community. In this time right now, a lot of diverse, like the DEI, those type of groups, they're being silenced, completely cut off. And we don't support that at all. And it's important that we don't stop just because people who are more of an authority are trying to put a stop to that, higher ups, doesn't mean we have to stop speaking. And
also, like, I want to touch up on that as well. don't feel like you don't have the right to speak if you are youth or a teenager. Don't feel like you're not wise enough or you don't have enough knowledge for it. This is the generation that we grow up in. We are the future. Don't feel like you don't have a right to speak up because you're not an adult. It's the fact that you aren't an adult should be the reason why you speak up more, because your voice can reach thousands.
Yes, and I think that where like the future is going to be our like the reality that is being created right now, we're living in that as teens, obviously, but in the future that's going to be us as adults. So we need to be a part of that decision making and creating a good future for ourselves. So speak up, because the same issues that we're going through now, we shouldn't have to deal with that when we're older. And so if we speak up now, I feel like it's slight, but there's a possibility if we all come together to put a stop to certain things. And I'm excited to see where I think we as a generation, specifically Gen Z, I think we're a very powerful generation, and I'm excited to see if we keep using our voice where that can happen. Yeah, where that can get us, because I feel it's promising. So I think like one of the last things we can talk about is like what you guys will be seeing from us in the future, because it's a lot.
Sorry. So we are going to be, of course, touching on more topics in the future, and if you guys have anything you want us to touch on about, we kind of mentioned that earlier in the episode, but we're completely open to anything, like an open book, and just kind of
I would say like a big way that we've kind of like agreed or had that conversation about framing our podcast is kind of having every episode be one major topic, and whether like we want to go through certain like mental things, like one episode being about anxiety, we spoke about it earlier, like one episode being about social media and body image and how that affects people, and then obviously we'll have other episodes where maybe not so like head forward or like straight on, I should say, just like kind of just speak, because this is an open conversation and that's exactly what we want it to be. And then yeah, like if you want to speak on like the guest speakers and oh my god, this is the most exciting part of it all.
It is for guest speakers, if you have a story that you want to share or you just want to speak out as well, just as we are, definitely please reach out to us on our Instagram and hopefully other platforms soon. But please reach out if you feel like that you want to share your story or even touch on a subject that nobody talks about. And also, whoa, I'm just losing my train of thought.
That's
sorry,
okay.
That's
literally what I did.
Sorry.
Okay.
So like also like if you don't want to speak, also we take in submissions as well. So that's another big thing, because I know a lot of people may not be comfortable with that. But please just reach out. Just like that's the most important thing. Just reach out.
Yeah. We said it earlier, but about resources as well. If you guys need us to help you out, that's what we're here for. We want to be able to be those type of people for, you know, maybe the people that we didn't have, we're hoping that we can be that for somebody else. And that's a big reason why I think we all do this, is because we've taken our own experiences and we want to grow from them and help others so they don't have to go through what we've gone through. So if you need any help finding resources in the futures, even if you live in like, I don't know, New Jersey, California, Washington,
can always find something.
We can help you out. We'll do our best. So reach out, please, but again, we're not professionals, so if you start venting to us, we'll listen, but we might not be giving you actual professional advice, so maybe take what we say with a grain of salt.
I can listen very well.
Yeah, she does. And then we spoke on it, but how listeners can participate or connect, send in those stories that you want us to speak about. If you want to critique something that we said, send it in. We're not professionals, but we'd love to have your guys' input. Constructive criticism is a big way of growth, and so we'd love that as well. Yeah, I mean,
kind of wraps up.
That wraps it up. This was amazing. I'm so excited to see what comes from this, because
we're just gonna build off of it brick by brick.
We're hoping that in the future, maybe okay, great.
Wait, why are you laughing?
Because I found that funny. Sorry, I find myself funny.
No, you're good.
In the future, maybe we'll have like a nicer setup. You know, again, we can only go up from here, so these little mics are gonna be bigger next time.
Yeah.
Maybe in a couple months.
These little tiny Amazon mics, it's gonna be professional one day.
Gotta start off somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere, and that's okay. Like, you know, we're starting off somewhere, but with your guys' support, we hope to build and grow from this.
It's
So
just called saving money, guys. I completely recommend.
It's called budgeting.
Budgeting is a great thing to start on.
we need to
Yeah.
learn more of that, but that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, do we want to end with our little quote?
Oh yeah.
All
yeah.
right, 3, 2, 1.
Your mind matters. Hey, we like that. We like that.
But yeah, we hope that you can gain insight from our podcast, and we really encourage you guys to come on for more. This was just a little introduction of what we're doing here, but there's going to be so much more in the future, so please make sure to come back and check it out, because
Absolutely.
Stay tuned.
stay tuned.
Stay
I always wanted to
tuned,
say that,
guys.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Our future.
Alrighty. Bye. Thank you guys.